By the way, buy, sell, or hold is where I tend to ask the guys on the gang here what they're buying, what they're selling, what they're holding. So buy basically means yes, sell basically means no, and of course hold means they are neutral. And please join me as well. If you have any buy, sell, or hold questions to any of us, feel free to ask us. So my first buy, sell, or hold would be on the GDP numbers that we've just seen. And we've had a lot of arguments around, GDP numbers and whether it's net positive or not for the Nigerian economy. And so I want to start with from the left. So I'll start with Tunji first. Buy, sell, or hold. I see you catching you're trying to where's this guy heading to? Okay, buy, sell, or hold. You've seen railway, pipelines, fastest growing in the economy. It's actually been growing fast for the last 6 quarters. If you check data.
Yeah.
Buy, sell, or hold, that is a subsector to invest in over the next couple of years. Buy, sell, or hold.
What kind of question is that? Okay, so so I do believe those sectors will grow. I think they will continue to expand, especially because the government is bullish on both of them. However, I just don't know where to invest in the sector. That's the problem. That's just my thinking. I don't know where I'm going to put my money in rail. If the government is building the rail, outside me being the contractor that builds the rail system, where else am I going to invest?
You're in payments, aren't you?
I'm in payments, yeah.
Yeah, so how do people pay you when they want to travel?
Yeah. Bye. Bye. I didn't think about. So what I was really going through my head was where does an investor
services
plug in? But the service
that
sector,
economy is an entirely it's
anyway, it is. It is.
I mean, for me,
So
based off a lower base, I'm a frontier guy, right? So elephants don't gallop, right? But small ants supposedly do, right? So I like those small frontier industry sectors, companies, whatever it is. So it's where I think everything is going to. So it makes sense to buy. For me, I'm a buy.
Sam?
Buy for me.
Probably hold. I don't see how I can make money in the sector with the sort of capital pool that I manage. I think if there is creativity in the industry to securitize opportunities in infrastructure, I'm definitely interested. Yeah. I think there's huge opportunities in tolling roads. There's huge opportunities in airport. I'm interested in airports, right? So if there is privatization there that is clean and the liabilities taken away, especially the labor liabilities, yes, I will.
So if you're interested in privatizing airports, why are you not interested in privatization of rails?
Because you have to look at the numbers. I just don't think that we have the sort of income levels to justify making an economic return in rail infrastructure directly.
You don't think we do?
I don't think
with the
we
sort
do.
of population we have, with the sort of
for me, the numbers make sense. On the top side, right? On the macro side.
Why are you going to price it, right? Think about it, right? How much does it cost you to travel in Milan or travel in? Because at the end of the day, we don't have any local productive capacity in this thing. The only thing that we're going to save is the labor cost of running the thing. But the whole capex is going to be a dollar-based capex. So you cannot
spread that against the population that you have. I mean, are you comparing our population with the population of Milan?
How many people have the income levels to get on this train?
Population reduces the price, doesn't it?
No. With the population that would use train. So
what's the price from Lagos to Ibadan? 36. What's the minimum wage?
30,000.
70, right?
70,000.
Right. So will you spend 10% of your income going from Lagos to Ibadan 2 times a year?
Compared to the alternative.
So it's the alternative that you really need to look at. Because if it is 3.6, rail would definitely be cheaper. And rail is cheaper.
I think rail should be done. I think government should run the rail.
Yeah.
There's positive externalities. There are areas around rail value chain that make sense for private capital like ours, right? But will I be investing directly in rail assets? I think it's more on how it's structured, how the pricing works. But the problem is that the duration of a rail investment is so long within the context of Nigeria that I'm not prepared to take that risk.
But isn't this...
maybe not for you, bro, but the pension funds definitely need to look at it, because if you look at the blue line that Lagos has created, it's usually full.
The rail in Lagos will make economic sense.
I'm talking rail nationwide. So you're talking...
Right. But
Lagos,
do rail in Borno.
Nobody's doing really
And bring
Borno.
private capital there.
Nobody's doing really Borno. Of course, we're talking about locations where these things make sense, right? So you have blue line, red line, green line in Lagos.
So pension funds should be investing
pension funds should be, 100%.
Exactly.
100% it should be,
because
yeah.
but the thing again is proper structuring.
Sticky money.
Because
Yeah,
Nigeria is a crazy place. You just change of government, and then all of a sudden there will be a rule that changes the economics on. When you're looking at a real project, you're looking at payback period of probably 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
That's why it's a pension money.
So you need that kind of long duration,
Sticky capital.
long duration liabilities to match that kind of long duration assets. So should pension fund be investing in real assets?
100%.
Of course. For me, as hot money, quote unquote, I can invest in value that gets created as a consequence of rail. So for example, like agricultural extension services, when you have rail connecting rural area to urban centers, start to look very, very interesting. So I would deploy capital in that environment.
Refrigeration on the trains would make sense.
So there are little, there's a role for everybody in this market,
Everybody
right?
can play a role in
There's a role for, but I'm happy about the sort of conversations we're having, because these are not conversations that we used to have like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the conversation was that how much dollars are you buying? Right? Now we are talking about where is the best way to make your return on investment. This is why, like, I think I've said it here before, that I mean, for all these government scenes, I think from an economic perspective, like you can't score them quite low. And frankly, anybody who is providing an alternative to this government is not providing an economic alternative, because all the things that they have done is what anybody else would have done. You could argue that sequencing wasn't right. You could argue that the pain didn't have to be this much. But, it's Nigeria. We do things in chaos. And this is no different.
All right. I was going to get to that buy, sell, or hold. But before then, buy, sell, or hold. MPC is meeting in September. They've held rates for a year now. I don't know how long more they want to hold rates. So buy, sell, or hold, Tunji. MPC meeting in September, cutting rates finally. Buy, sell, or hold.
I'm buy. I've always been buy on this. I still believe that there are other ways to structure what we're trying to do. They should cut rates, because the real sector is dying. The people who need the capital, and forget inflow.
But we
of
just said
dollars.
here now, but their numbers are going up. Revenues is, for those that are listed.
Those are the people on the capital market. I'm talking about the real guys who are actually, because they're a handful. How many companies are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange? Total. And these are public liability companies. So for you to get to that PLC point, you have crossed startup, you have crossed scale up, you have a proper formed company. But I'm talking about those companies that in that gap between I just got an idea in my office to I'm listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Those companies are in a limbo. So
I know.
But that is not the company that the bank is going to extend credit to.
It should be.
But I don't know. I mean, that's why you need to develop an alternative capital system, like a venture industry, early stage, early risk, angel kind of stuff. Because a bank's primary function is a fiduciary to ensure that deposit is safe. That bank is not going to be lending to a startup that is just starting an idea.
No, I don't expect it to.
I mean, even though we've seen a lot of banks lend to so-called, mature companies
and still gone kaput.
Like we're talking about Bastion, this bank that lent money, and then the asset was at Marina.
At Marina.
What bank was that?
What bank are you talking about?
I can't remember the name. I know.
Yeah, so I sort of expected them to cut, but not surprised it didn't cut already, right? So I expected a 50 bips cut. But when I saw core inflation, food inflation go up, I am not surprised it didn't cut, because generally we can all admit we are in a disinflationary environment. Even though inflation is still high, I think that there's some pressure on the central bank side to actually cut. So I expect them to cut in September, maybe 25, 50 basis
I can't know
points.
Sam's
But I expect them
answer.
to cut.
Sam is
Well, I'm hold. Let the data decide. I will just say one thing. In the conference, in the after decision conference meeting today, Cardoso said something which caught my eyes. Is that my objective is to bring inflation down to single-digit level.
Yeah, he said that.
When the central bank governor tells you that, you know that it's going to be tight for a while.
So you think he holds for the rest of the year? Because we're not getting to single until at least
let,
Q4
let,
2026.
let the data decide. But I think what he wants to see is a significant level of positive real interest rates.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
I think
so
so too.
last buy, sell, or hold. We've seen a year and a half now of these policies from this current administration.
Of the what?
Current administration.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so in
You know
general,
there are people here now. All those insults that used to be in the comment section.
buy, sell, or hold Tinubu-nomics. Buy, sell, or hold Tinubu-nomics in general. Whatever you call it. Whatever Tinubu-nomics means to you. Buy, sell, or hold Tinubu-nomics, Tunji. Be careful what you say.
So I'm a holdish buy. no. I don't know why you guys are laughing. It makes absolute sense to me.
That
Holdish
stuff
buy.
doesn't make any sense at all.
buy. Sellish buy.
I told you guys, buy means yes, sell means no, hold means I'm neutral.
It makes
What
perfect
does
sense.
holdish buy mean?
So
Like, what
it
does that mean?
means I am holdish on the buy, as in like
He doubled down. Shut the buy. Hold on the buy. I will give you a minute. Give me a minute.
Buy.
Give me a minute. I'm about to buy.
Exactly. I don't buy, but give me a minute.
Give me a minute.
Give me a minute. So there's a lot to appreciate, and honestly, it's simply that base effect, just simple base effect from where we're coming from. Anything would seem better. You get from this monetary policy. There's hardly ever fiscal policy anyway. Investment in capital projects. Whichever way you're looking at it from, it just looks better, right? From where we're coming from. However, there needs a lot more to be done. I think the guy feels he's Machiavellian leadership
Buy, sell, or
tactics.
hold.
No,
Just
I'm telling you,
put your
I'm
money where your
explaining my
mouth
own.
is. When you
So
went to
I
just
just
start to
said
explain like
holdish
this.
buy. I've told
Holdish
you.
buy.
holdish-
Okay, Arnold, buy, sell, or hold.
That was what I was explaining before it stopped
Arnold,
me.
buy, sell, or hold.
Yeah, so for me, it's a buy, right? So I think the reforms have been painful.
Wow.
Wow, that's a straight up buy, bro.
Yeah, the reforms have been painful.
Wow.
I on the monetary side,
Time to sell.
The fact that Arnold is a buy is a huge
whoa. No, but listen, I didn't. It's like I hoped, but I didn't expect. Right, I hoped that things would turn out how they're turning out, but I didn't expect it to. I think the reforms have been painful, but things are kicking in especially on the monetary side. But on the fiscal side, I think there's been just an over-exaggeration and hyped expectation. And I mean, now we all know that the budget was just, we're not going to get to 2 million barrels. And we're not going to be able to mobilize our revenue.
We're not going to hit 1
But you're
trillion.
still buying.
Yeah, but I see, things kicking in and things making sense. So for me, it's a buy.
Sir?
Well, it's a buy. There's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
It's a buy because we manage. It's come at great cost, to be fair, and I don't think we needed to be here, right? So I think hopefully the government can take some level of accountability that their slow relative action, especially on the monetary and the fiscal side, really created a crisis that, I mean, an adjustment was inevitable. The scale of adjustment, however, could have been presented if they were a bit more forward-looking and they've anticipated some of these before they came into power. It felt like at the early stage of this process, they were learning on the job. and then they got it.
You do feel that, right?
Yeah, they got it. They got a hand of
They're
it.
riding now.
But decisions that needed to be made, tough decisions on PMS, on exchange rate stability, liberalizing the exchange rate, passing tax reforms. I mean, having the political capital to pull this off, right, is impressive, right? So now that we have some semblance of macro stability, we need to unlock strategic investments in key sectors to catalyze an investment-driven growth, right? The ability for this government to do that is yet to be seen, because that is the second leg of growth that we need to
Which is
ensure
why
that this macro becomes.
So give me a minute.
All
right. So,
But having said that, reforms take time.
They do,
Typically,
yeah,
when
they
you
do. And
look
it's
at
quite painful.
when you look at
It tends to be very
IMF
painful.
data of countries that have made this sort of adjustments, the fastest you tend to, the number of years you tend to wait to see benefit is between 3 to 5.
3 to 5 years, yeah.
Right? Obasanjo went through this. And I told you guys, when I was launching my fund, I went to go and read all the IMF Article 4 between 1999 and 2004. You need to read those articles for yourself. It was very, very pessimistic. And then between 2003 to 2008, we had a generational opportunity for wealth creation. And then we had growth that trickled down, right? And positive economic growth on the back of that. There is a very strong feeling that we are about to repeat the same thing.
All right. So last buy, sell, or hold. I mean, I hope that's the last. Last buy, sell, or hold. Exchange rate, the Naira versus the dollar,
What's that?
crashing that 1.5 floor
Oh, okay.
before the next MPC.
MPC is
Buy, sell, or hold.
September.
Yeah. Are we going to
in
see
it goes to
a
1.4?
sub 1.5 exchange, like below 1.5, 1.49 or whatever? Are we going to see a sub 1.5 exchange rate before the next MPC in September? Buy, sell, or hold. Tunji, quick one, please. There's no time. Just buy, sell, or hold.
Hold it, sell.
Because there are people here who are like,
I'm hold.
hold.
No,
You're just
I was going
clear
to
hold.
I was going to say, but I'm hold. so
Hold.
I'm hold.
Arnold.
Yeah, no, I don't think we do that. So it's a sell. I'm a sell.
Okay.
I'm a sell. I don't.
Sam?
I don't see why we strengthen.
I
don't see why we strengthen.
I think we do.
At the end of Q3.
No, I think if CBN, right, can ensure that NTB rates are close. NTB Treasury bills are basically the money transmission mechanism is intact.
OMO is what almost determines FX more than NTB, don't you think?
I think both, but you are right that you know what? I think breaching 1.5, I am a buy.
Yeah.
On second thought, I'm a buy.
I'm a buy too, by the way.
I'm a buy.
All right. I know I said last buy, sell, or hold, but are there, just before we leave this session to the next one, are there any industries you guys want to sell today? Like, you know what? If you're in this industry, sell. I just feel like going pessimistic. Is there any industry you want to sell?
In Nigeria?
Yeah, Tunji. What sector do you want to sell? Like, man, if you're in this sector, just sell. Like, there's no hope. Like, there's nothing happening there.
I don't see one.
So you're holding.
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't sell
That's a
any.
hold. Like, there's none. So none. Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to think through that. I need more time to think through it. I can't think of one to sell.
No.
As in just dump.
Yeah. So you're bullish on all industries. All.
I'll
I'm
say
not
bullish in all
bullish.
industries.
Yeah,
I'm
like-
not bullish. I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
not.
So you're not selling any.
I'm just
So,
not
like,
selling any.
From the
And
betting
I
industry
need
to
I need a
entertainment
method.
to
I need a
sports
method, right? Why am I?
to whatever to, manufacturing. All.
I wouldn't.
don't know.
Okay, if the Chinese come into the cement sector, I will sell it.
But they're already in with waxing, no?
Well, the deal is not closed, but the day the deal closes,
You're done with
there's a
cement.
saying that when Chinese enters the room, profit walks away. Right. So, and I know that they are going to debottleneck that plant. They're going to add capacity. And the
they're gonna just
Chinese
slash everything.
have basically,
Yeah.
they're not profit driven like that. They can run that thing on 20%
Yeah,
EBITDA margin.
that's one thing they can do. They can do anything you can do, but cheaper.
Yeah. So I will sell cement if that deal closes and there's clear signs of rapid capacity expansion in WAPCO.
All right, great. So I know it's not the end of the year yet, but I just wanted to ask you guys so
Someone has a
far.
question over there.
Somebody
Is
has
there a question? We're
Yeah.
gonna get to you in a bit. We're gonna get to you in a bit. So far this year, right? It's not the end of the year, but so far this year, Tunji, who's been your man of the year? I mean, man of the year also means woman of the year. So who's been your man of the year so far?
In Nigeria? Or
In Nigeria,
globally?
yeah. In Nigeria, if I say
Man
global,
of the
Tuju will
year.
tell you Trump, so I don't want to say global. In Nigeria, who's been your man of the year this year? Who's
Based on
been that
what?
person? Anything. Anything, really.
Cardi
Anybody.
B.
He won an award, right? He won an award.
Yeah, Cardi B.
That's Cardoso?
Yeah.
All right. Arnold?
Ah, gosh. I don't know.
You've made too much money this year, Arnold. Come on. You've made too much money. It's got to be Jude of the NGX. or Timmy.
Yeah, let me say Timmy. Timmy's the man of the year.
But what did
Yeah. I mean, NGX. Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, I don't know. NGX. Timmy's been my man of the year.
Oh, okay.
Since you put that name.
So what's be your man of the year?
Well, Shego's had a good run this quarter, though.
Shego's
Shego's had a wonderful run.
GT.
Yeah, GT. He had a wonderful run.
Yeah.
That's this
He's had a
quarter. This
wonderful
year?
run.
I'm talking about this year.
Yeah.
Year to date, we're in
He's had
July.
a good year. He's had a good year.
It's
Yeah,
between-
he's
it's
done really
between-
well.
I have 3 candidates: Shegun, Cardi B, or Taiwo Oyedele.
Taiwo is a good, strong contender. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But the thing is that Cardi B sounds to me like. Does
Cardi
everyone-
B changed the fortunes
No,
of
can-
this
can
country.
you
He did.
remember-
He did.
Can you
Cardi B.
remember
So Cardi
the
B.
Headies the Headies Award when Olamide was like every song this year was a hit back to back. That was with Cardi B. He's just been going home runs.
It's
Alright, so
it's Cardi
let's-
B, but
let's have
honorable
the question.
mention is Taiwo and Shegun.
Taiwo, yeah.
Question quickly.
Okay, yeah, good evening. Thank you very much. My name is Frank. So I wanted to find out, taking a look at the relationship between gold and, I think this question goes to Arnold, the relationship between gold and the Fed rate cut. What do you think is going to happen? It looks like anytime Fed cuts rates, we already see gold rally, and right now we've seen gold hit its all-time high a couple of times. What do you think would be the relationship? And it looks like there's I'm not seeing that decoupling between gold and Bitcoin, because anytime gold rallies, you always see the Bitcoin coming down. But what do you think is going to be the relationship? That's one. Secondly, Access Corporation. You made mention of something, Ugo. You said Access is supposed to be going towards the 100
Don't
naira
ask you the
mark.
question.
Exactly. Do you think that it's undervalued? Is it undervalued? And
Okay.
at what point do you think we're going to have that explosion?
Wow.
As
Explosion. You have to use that word.
This is access. Okay, so I think that there's been an inverse relationship between gold and treasuries that we've been seeing for a while now. A couple of reasons, because if you look at the structural change that I constantly badger on, right? So you're having an exit of US treasuries and an entry to gold of central banks. You're also seeing it on local investor levels, for example, like Japan, for example. So Japan has run. Japan has been in a disinflationary, negative inflation, or just inflation environment for a very long time. So there's that carry trade where low rates in Japan and Japanese investors buying US treasuries. So, but what you're seeing now in Japan is Japan's getting inflation. Japan is is actually the biggest holder of US treasuries.
Yeah.
So you're seeing that move anyway out of US treasuries from Japanese investors, Chinese investors, or even central banks into gold. So you're seeing that. I think that although I think that the US inflation still goes up because you're seeing 20, 30-year treasuries pricing in high inflation on the long end in US. If the Fed cuts, I still think, because I don't think the market is necessarily looking at the Fed cuts to buy gold, they're more looking at the structural change that's happening globally. So I still think that you're still going to get that inflow of gold from central banks regardless. And I still think, and I think a lower US yield will still discourage that move that you're seeing anyway with global investors like Japanese investors and Chinese investors. So I'm still seeing that trade of buy gold, sell US treasuries going on. And I have that trade on. I've had that trade on for maybe 9 months to a year. I've had that trade on for a while. So I still see that move going.
All right. So quickly, Yeah, so I think that Access Bank, in terms of Access Bank shares, I think Access Bank shares will go up. We've seen it go up 20% already, or 10 or 20, 15 to 20% already this July alone. And that is not just because of its fundamentals. I actually think it's undervalued despite some of the challenges it has. And I think it will ultimately go up because of the bandwagon effect. Because typically investors will say, look, if you're pricing GT at maybe 3 or 4 times earnings, and you're pricing Access at maybe 1.5 or 2 times the earnings, you would want to adjust that a little bit up. So the bandwagon effect, if for anything, would increase its valuation. So I do think that yes, so long as you continue to see an increase in the valuation of Fugas, Access Bank would also increase in its valuation. And we've seen First Bank, for example, or First Holdco. First Holdco has gone from 25 Naira or so coming into July to 30 something Naira plus. So if you've had First Holdco for, if you bought First Holdco a month ago, you're probably in the money right now. And now, let's not confuse things. It's a different thing if you're going into certain equity classes for the short term. You want to go in, make money, and you get out. But there's some equity classes that you might want to buy and hold on to because you think that they are fundamentally undervalued, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of Nigerian banks are actually fundamentally undervalued despite the challenges that they have. Mm-hmm. Because when you have a bank that is valued at 50, some even 40% its book value, take as much write down as you want. It's almost as if somebody's buying your company for half the price. Are you going to sell your company for even a third of the price, right? So that's basically how you see some of these things. But as we said here on this show, price is one thing, value is another, right? Price is what people want to pay for something. And so the fact that you're seeing a rally in the prices of Fugas banks now, expect that bandwagon effect to continue to happen. You've seen Stanbic. Stanbic wasn't even in the picture.
Stanbic is not bandwagon effect.
No,
it's
but it wasn't in the picture.
Driven
it is, but if GT had not touched 100, I don't think Stanbic would have touched 100. Because Stanbic was fundamentally Stanbic is actually worth more than 200 Naira per share.
I think so.
Yeah. But if GT had not touched 100, Stanbic would not have moved. So investors basically saw it as because Stanbic has always been the highest priced bank. I'm not saying in terms of valuation, but in terms of price. It's always been priced slightly higher than GT. And so that's why. All right, one more question. Ooh, we're out of time. All right. Yes, sir.
And it's my comment on Man of the Year.
Yes.
And I'm pretty surprised that nobody mentioned Aliko.
Fair point.
And I tell you why.
Fair point.
I tell you why. Take out 20 billion investments from this economy right now, and everything we're talking about is going to be different.
But that investment was made years ago, though.
Yeah, but the benefits of it, right? We're now getting the benefits in the economy. So I think for me, mention of Man of the Year for this year, 100%.
Yeah,
Is there?
Aliko.
I agree.
Aliko.
Yeah, we all agree.
So tough call. Tough call. Anybody else before we leave? All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, Wade.
Okay, I was listening to your buy, sell, and hold, Ugo, on the railway lines. And what everybody was looking at was this. I just had a comment on this, and then I'll ask Sam a question. Everybody is looking at the asset creation, which is the rail lines. The other ancillary asset is going to fund them. Because when you consider the fact that you need the turnover, you said 3-6 to Ibadan. How many coaches leave every 15 minutes? Who's considering all those things? So those are things that we need to consider from an economic perspective because it's the number of carriages that would create that value at the end of the day. The Blue Line has 2 coaches, am I right? When are we going to get like 20 coaches? And like Tunji rightly said.
Yeah, which is the growth we're talking about.
Yeah, which is the growth you're talking about.
And then currently we're carrying just human beings. They're going to carry more than that.
So if I want to leave Ado Ekiti at 6 a.m. and get to Lagos at 7:45 to my what's it called. So you need those coaches to be there. So those are huge investment opportunities from that perspective. So I would rather say buy on that subsector because it's going to grow. Everybody's just looking at the NRC, but the private sector needs to play in it. The same way the private sector is beginning to play on the ferries in Lagos. And you would see those changes very soon. Now, coming to Sam, you say there's so much liquidity, but it's not translating to money velocity, which is a huge part of consumer spending. When do we expect to see that? Otherwise, we will still be 140 trillion in the economy.
But what are you going to
And
apply?
people are not feeling that effect. Fantastic question, Sam.
No, it's a very good question. And I think that is at the heart of the challenge that we have, because here we are talking about excess liquidity, but the consumer cannot access that liquidity. And to a large extent, most of the corporates cannot access that liquidity. And that is because we've basically created money that far exceeds our economic potential to absorb it, right? And that is what has happened. If in order for us to be able to see that liquidity, we need to see growth in economic productivity, right? And because that's what is going to drive income, that's what is going to drive wages, and that's what is going to, and we need to kickstart an investment-led cycle.
Yeah.
All right. I am hoping that with macro stability, clearly we are seeing higher investment intensity in oil and gas. And it will take a little bit of time in manufacturing because there's a lot of idle capacity that needs to first be utilized before people start to deploy CapEx. In telco, right, I think you're going to see increase in CapEx intensity almost immediately post the increase in tariffs to 50%, right? So I am hoping that all that catalyzes investment and that drives growth and that drives productivity. You need to see growth in wage productivity, which translates into growth in wages for that liquidity to leave the banking system into the real economy. In terms of timeline, I am hoping you start to see evidence of that in 2026. If we hold on to reform, I think 2027, 2028 could be quite interesting for that productivity-led improvement in because that's what needs to happen. You need to create productive activity that capital can come into. Otherwise, the capital will just be finding T-bills and dollars. At the moment, it stopped looking for dollars. It's now in T-bills. So we need to drive it out of T-bills into equity. And then we need to drive it from equity into the pockets of people. To do that, you need to drive investment.
Comments on railway?
I think the comments on railway, it just occurred to me that I don't know if this rail system is still working. I used to live in Abule back in the day. There's this train that I don't know where it originates from, but I usually see it at Ikeja.
Probably with big manism. That's the thing. When you're disconnected with, like,
do you know where Abule is? I said I used to live in Abule. I said big manism.
No, because you don't know what's happening anymore. That's my point.
Lost touch.
Yeah, completely lost touch.
As I was saying, that train was one that not only used to be full, back to back, it also had people sit on top of it. Now, I'm not entirely sure if those people sat on top of it because they couldn't pay the fees, or it was just that the train was too full for them to. But it just shows you that there is some sort of capacity to be able to take trains. And then the bus fees, like you were saying earlier, bus fees have gone ridiculously high. You know, I think it was two shows ago, and I was talking to some of the guys downstairs, and somebody was like, I think it was bus from there to CMS was 1,000 naira. I clutched my chest. The last time I took a bus was like maybe 150 naira. I'm like, it's 1,000. You pay a whole 1,000 for bus. I mean, like, you enter a bus and you pay 1,000 naira. I'm like, yes, it's ridiculous. So if a train gives you that same commute or longer for far less, of course people will use it.
Tunji is so out of touch.
Yes, I am. I don't. It's ridiculous how out of touch I am.
All right, so I think. All right, I think this is we basically come to the end of the first session of Drinks and Mics. Please, if you guys have enjoyed Sam, please give him a round of applause for being here. That's why he's one of our favorites on Drinks and Mics. And expect Sam to be back, of course, in September when we're back. Drinks and Mics is going to be back in September. Again, different vibe, different flow, more incredible guests on the show. But looking forward to you, Sam. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah,
All right.
one of my
So it's been-
one of my man of the year. I have to say, so I've known Sam for a very, very long time.
Sam's
I've known Sam
he's helped you make money,
for
though.
almost 2 decades. From when we used to sit
Am I
from
that
Deutsche
old?
Bank, from Deutsche Bank days in London, and it's actually very, very encouraging to see someone move from London back here, set something up, and actually set waves and make waves. So yeah, Sam is one of my man of the year. So, everybody.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, I mean, I know it's personal stuff, but Sam relocated his family to Nigeria. For those who are jackbarring,
did the reverse
he
jackbar,
believes so much in Nigeria.
reverse jackbar.
Just like those of us who have refused to, jackbar out of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Sam, for being on the show. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Otuba, this is the time that you come in.
Cheers.